Hello, YouTube. I hope you're having a fabulous Friday. Today is the Muslim holiday. I'm just home relaxing for today. I don't have any plans or anything. But Taylor Love, I'm subscribed to her channel, and she's talking about two topics. One is promiscuity amongst men and women, and the second one is sexuality. So she said that she would not date a man that's been with a man, and it's a double standard for both topics, because most men, if they know that their woman was with another woman, whatever, they don't care. That's considered sexy, in society. Like if a woman likes another woman. For me, I've never been interested in women. I don't throw shade, but that's not my thing. I'm straight. So she was saying she wouldn't date a man that's been with a man. For me, I feel like people make mistakes, and if it's something he did one time in college, because let me tell you something, the downside about some of these fraternities, they make you do things that you wouldn't normally do. They do it for sororities, so I know they have to do. You don't really hear about fraternities, but I know sororities, they make people do some crazy things. So I can only imagine what the fraternities is like. So I remember my old coworker from World Trade Center, he said that he was in the Marines, and the men that was with him in his section or whatever, they made him have sex with a stripper. And I believe him, because you got bullies everywhere. So, I really do believe him when he said that when he was in the Marines, that happened. They bullied him into something he didn't want to do. They saw that he was a sensitive guy. They saw that he was, kind of naive with life. And so they pushed him to do something he wouldn't normally do. So if they could do that in the Marines, and they supposed to be professional, like the Marines is supposed to be, when I think of the Marines, I think about professional men. If they could do that in the Marines, imagine what they could do in a fraternity, and your child is away at college, right? Oh, you got to do this to another guy, otherwise you can't be in a fraternity. They probably do that, but it's not going to be known. They're not going to say it. Or how many of us have heard about frat parties and they rape girls? You think they want to rape those girls? I think in some cases they were peer pressured to do it. I really do believe that. I don't think it's just, oh, they got drunk and raped a girl. I think some of that is peer pressure. I think is they want to fit in, and so that's what happened. So I feel like you can't judge people off of what they did in their past. Try to find out why. Just being a female, how many of us have done things, not necessarily with another female, but how many guys pressured us into doing things we didn't want to do when we was young and naive? You get what I'm saying? So imagine a guy and he's being pressured to do something he didn't want to do. I never had for me, I never had a female pressure me, whatever, but I had guys pressure me. So I can only imagine what that's like. You away at college, you're away from your family, you're away from everyone you know, but you want to fit in. So you're willing to do that. You're not gay, but they're pushing you, kind of thing. So if I'm dating a guy and that's what he tells me, I'm not going to say, oh, I don't want to date you because of that. Because that wouldn't be fair. Because that was pretty much against his will. That was something he was pressured to do. So she said that she would not date a man that's been with a man. My thing is, it can't be no long-term relationship. Like, you can't convince me that you was pressured into being in a long-term relationship. You can't convince me that you was pressured into laying up with somebody more than 2 or 3 times. That I'm not gonna believe. Like, I can understand, okay, you wanted to be in a fraternity, but if it was like you ended up dating dude and y'all was together for the whole 4 years of your college career, no. No. But if it was like a 1 or 2 time thing, I could forgive that. I could forgive that. That's with that. And as far as promiscuity is concerned, and this is just my life experiences, most women that are promiscuous, they do it out of loneliness. They do it because they're single at the time. And also, everybody has their own definition of promiscuity. You got some people that feel like my mom, she's old school. She feel like any sex you have outside of marriage, you a hoe. It don't matter. She don't care if you've been with the dude 10 years, he broke your virginity, it doesn't matter, you a hoe. That's her opinion. And then you have people who, if you have more than, I had a friend who said she wouldn't get with her husband if he had more than 3 partners. That's not real. Like, come on. Most people have had more than 3 partners. I'm like, well, he not going to tell you that. But she's like, oh, that's wrong. Da-da-da. So she's very conservative. She wasn't a virgin, but she feel like nobody should have more than 3 partners in their lifetime. Then you have people who feel like if you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be having sex with other people. But what people don't realize is after 10, 15, 20 years, it get boring. And if you're not, the Bible even says, if you're not having sex with your spouse, you're causing them to commit adultery. The Bible says it. I didn't say it. So, you got to think about that. Now, most men, I'm not going to say most men, but the men who cheat, a man doesn't have to have a reason to cheat. I feel like that's the difference between a man and a woman. A woman who cheats is normally because she's lonely, the man is not home, etc. Now, you do have your exceptions of some women that are greedy too. I'm not gonna lie. Some women, they got a good man and they still cheat, but that's very rare. Most women who cheat is a reason. It's because the person she's cheating with, she got feelings for that dude. That's why men, when they find out that women cheat, they flip out, because 9 times out of 10, she got feelings for dude. She want to be with dude, so it hits harder, and men get super jealous because they know that, especially if it's a woman that's not like that, she's a faithful girl and she cheating, that man already know, okay, he's a somebody in your life, because you gonna risk our relationship for that, so yeah, people cheat for different reasons. So you can't just say, oh, well, if you cheat on your marriage or you cheat on your relationship, automatically you a hoe. But it's different reasons. Some people are not having sex with their partner. Some people, they're not happy. But you have some men, they are happily married, and then they still want other women. That's greedy. That to me is just, that's a whoremonger. That's somebody that's not a good person. But we all make mistakes. We all fall down. Sometimes people cheat because opportunity. It's like food. It's like, oh, it was there. So, and that'd be crazy. It should never be that. But yeah, when women, you can't just say, oh, because somebody sleep around, they automatically a hoe. You got to find out the why. Like a woman who has a lot of bodies and she's single, that be out of loneliness. Like, obviously, if you don't have a man, there's no rules to say, oh, well, no, she still has needs, right? So, and then a lot of people, what they don't realize is you don't plan it. So let's say if you single for a year, right? And you meet somebody, y'all have sex, and you find out he's a jerk, right? Then you meet another guy and he's a weirdo, but y'all had sex. Then somebody else, sorry, I had to pause real quick. But yeah, so, that's 2 people, and then you meet a third person and you sleep with them. Let's say after the second person, you didn't do nothing for 6 months. You horny, you want some. It's human, right? So then you meet the third person and that doesn't work out. Let's say he's a perfect guy, but he don't want no relationship. Yeah, I had to pause it again. So You get to the third person, and let's say he's a wonderful guy, he's perfect, but he tells you, hey, I don't want a relationship. So now it's 3 men that you done been with in a year, right? And let's say you just become really unlucky and it's the same pattern for 5 years. 3 times 5 is what? 15. So you done have 15 bodies. So what do people say? Oh, you a hoe. Oh, shit. No, you're not a hoe. It's just, it didn't work out, you know? And that's why it's good to be celibate, because, you know, you done had, I had a former friend who she was bragging about, oh, you know, she only had 6 partners. I'm like, okay. And then sure enough, everything she told me, by the time she got to the 5th year, she done had like 18 bodies. But she wasn't a hoe. She wasn't deliberately just looking for dick. It's just the fact of none of the dudes wanted to be with her. And, you know, that's what happened. But I remember she used to look, she put it on Facebook one day too, like, oh, anybody who got more than 10 partners is a hoe. And I'm like, I'm like, and I said something. I said, well, you don't know a person's situation. Everybody's not lucky to find a man that they actually want or want to be with. Everybody's, you know. And she was just talking shit. And sure enough, she had way more than 10 by the time 5th, 6th, 7th year. Way more than 10. And that's just what she told me. So, you know, my thing is never judge, because unless if you've been in that person's shoes, and if you've been in that predicament where you've been single for a long time, then you could speak on it. But a lot of people who call people hoes, most of them are in long-term relationships. That's why they could say, oh, whatever. But unless if you've been single, you can't say that. Because a lot of people, they've never been single. They, you know, found somebody in their teens. They was with them for 10 years. And then they got with somebody else and been with them ever since. So at that point, you can't really judge, because you've never been single. You don't know what it is to be alone. You don't know what it is to be with somebody and they could be perfect, but then they don't want to be with you, or you don't want to be with them for whatever reason. So then you break it off and move on to the next. So for people who've never been single, they don't know what it's like, you know. So those are the 2 things about promiscuity. You know, never point the finger at somebody, because you don't know what their situation is. Try to, you know, if you're their friend, you should try to find out why. Don't just judge. And those are my thoughts.